There's boots in the way, so good luck.
That's pretty good then. Alrighty, y'all ready? The idea that war could be a good thing is very unusual in our society. We are taught the great lie in classes such as this one, which says that it's neat and fitting to die for one's country. However, is that really a lie? In his poem, The Battlefield Museum Guide Speaks, Candide Saraceno challenges the great lie and the fact that war is completely evil. He highlights some good that can come from war, specifically that can come later after war. The poem is written from the perspective of a museum guide at the battlefield of Gettysburg. He starts the poem by saying, "Here they come, minivans, SUVs, and Honda Accords, converging from north and south, just like those thirsty, dust-choked troops." So he's relating the troops that came to Gettysburg from the north and south to the tourists that are now coming into Gettysburg to see the battlefield. This comparison reverberates throughout the entire poem as he continues. He describes at the end of the first stanza a frenzied scene where they're prepping the battlefield. They have artillery pieces moving around. They've got surgeons running with litters and people setting up field hospitals, other soldiers digging trenches, and they're getting ready for the Battle of Gettysburg. He asks, what myth or what delusion draws people, tourists, to a site where 51,000 Americans died? He quotes Walt Whitman stating that war is butchery, purely slaughter. And then he asks, do they see pure butchery? The implied claim is no, they don't. Saraceno asks, is there another truth that draws them to this site? He then shifts gears and starts describing an older man who's there wearing a ball cap and shorts, pretty typical tourist. He's the camera, and he describes the pain that he can observe in this old man from the man's daughter's death. He talks about how the man did everything right when his daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in 1960. He stayed up all night, gave her all the correct pills, but in the end, her fate was sealed. He points his camera at Little Round Top, a mountain at the battlefield of Gettysburg, where Joshua Chamberlain and the 20th Maine charged. You may have heard of it. He talks about the odds of surviving leukemia in 1960, or the odds of surviving the death of one's own child. And then he looks back at Little Round Top and considers the odds of Joshua Chamberlain and his dire situation, out of ammo, tired, battle-worn, charging against a greatly outnumbering force. In the fourth stanza, he describes cars coming bumper to bumper into this museum, people piling up just to come see it, and he says the young come for what they expect to see, and the old come for what they know to be true. It's the same thing. In the fifth stanza, he dives into directly addressing the reader. He asks, have you been marched towards what you could not bear? Did you fear failure, and when you got there, did you fail? He asks, has the cold ached your scars? He doesn't ask, do you have scars? He asks, does the cold ache the scars that you have? He indicates everyone has a struggle that they deal with. After asking these piercing questions, he says, then you know why they come. The Battlefield Museum Guide has prepared everything at the museum. He's organized the exhibits, polished the glass, opened the doors wide, and then he asks, for you? I believe that Saraceno's implied claim through this poem is that people seek out sites where others have struggled. They derive motivation from these places. Remember the old man taking a picture of Little Round Top? Regular people have so much to gain by remembering past wars and past struggles. I think the implied claim is that war can be a necessary thing and that nothing any less evil could have resulted in the lessons that we've learned. Sort of like flowers growing out of ashes, each generation must renew their tenacity for their own struggles. And in conclusion, I think that he's saying war instigates confidence that causes people to have what it takes to charge their challenges, just like Joshua Chamberlain and the 20th Maine.